Hey friends, welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. Today I am sharing our curriculum choices for my son's 12th grade year, and I can't believe that we are already here. But let's dive on in and check out what we will be doing for our 2025-2026 school year. So hello again, and if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name's Abby. I am a homeschooling mom. Now I'm going to be a homeschooling mom of one, but I was a homeschool mom of two. In fact, my oldest is graduating here at the end of the month, and we are getting all ready for her graduation party. We are getting all kinds of things around for her move to college in the fall, and it's been exciting and fun and bittersweet and full of tears and all of the things. And right behind her is her brother, who's just 1 year younger. So he will be entering his senior year this fall. So we will have a number of changes in our school. From one, my daughter won't be here; she will be away at college, and that's going to feel very different. I think all of us are going to really just have to make some adjustments with that. But also it is different when you only have one child that you are homeschooling. For many, many years, we actually did a number of subjects as group subjects. We did family subjects, and then the kids would break apart and do their independent work. And we kind of transitioned as they moved through high school, starting to slowly move them to doing most of those subjects independently, even the ones that we used to do as a group. And so this year, my son will be doing largely all independent work with a few things that I'll be supporting and helping him with, but he will be able to manage a lot of this work without a ton of like constant need for me to like be looking over his shoulder and things like that. So he works fairly well independently, and so that will be a large part of his senior year. He's also going to be starting dual enrollment classes, similar to what his sister did this past year. She took dual enrollment courses. It's just that the types of courses that he's going to take will be very different from hers because his career path that he wants to go on is different from hers. She's going to a traditional four-year college for undergrad with aspirations of possibly going on to grad school. He is interested in going into a trade, specifically to work towards becoming an electrician. My stepdad was a electrician who just retired, and has been talking to him a lot about what he would need to do in order to go into that field. And as many of you know, there is a huge shortage in the trades, and so it definitely can be a wonderful career to go into, and we really do need good people trained in those things. So we're working towards helping him get ready for that. And some of the courses he'll be taking at one of our local colleges are designed for students who are looking to go into trade, and what are some of the basics you need to know as you're getting into that, and even some of like the business basics if you are going to go into business for yourself once you've finished your training in a trade. So I think that those will be good things for him. I think it'll also be a really good experience for him to have instructors who are not me and people holding him accountable who are not me. I think it's good to start to get a feel for what that looks like. So he'll definitely be taking a couple of college classes this fall, and I'll talk more about those classes specifically, what they're covering, how long they are, and all of that in a future video. I'll talk more kind of about that dual enrollment piece of it, and even some of the resources that we've found for kids looking to go into a trade or into an apprenticeship, because that was actually something that was kind of hard for us to find initially. It was something where I had to do some additional research and talk to different family members who had experience in that field. So today's video is going to focus largely on what I'm going to have him do here in our homeschool. So what things will he be responsible for here? Again, because his college path or his training path for his career is different from what my daughter is doing, the courses he is will be taking this fall will look different from the ones that she took her senior year. There'll be some overlap, but some things are going to be different. So let's just start off. I'm going to start with math because I'm actually pretty excited about what we're doing for math. My kids both took algebra when they were either 8th grade or freshman. And then Ethan took a combination class. He did Shoreman math for a couple of years. So he took Algebra 1 with geometry, and then geometry with Algebra 2. They were combined. So he was able to get 3 years of math done in 2 years. And then this last year, he took pre-calc. Now, there is absolutely no reason for him to take any higher level math than pre-calc. He doesn't need calculus for what he's looking to go into. But I did not want him to go a year without a math class. We thought about maybe having him go ahead and take a dual enrolled like college algebra, but I thought, well, what if we do a math that just seems like it's something that's really pertinent for him? So I've been looking at this for a while and decided to go with BJU's Consumer Math. So this is the textbook. Consumer math covers a lot of different math topics and basics, and I can do a deep dive into this as I start to look at it more myself. I mean, I just got this. It's still all in the plastic wrap, except for the textbook. But it will cover a lot of life skills, and that's what I thought was really great. Budgeting, personal banking, borrowing money, transportation, food, things related to taxes, homes, savings, insurance. Now, if you have been following me for a while, you might say, well, didn't you cover some of that in the life skills course that you wrote? And yes, I did cover these topics in that, but I wasn't specifically focused on the math part of it. My course that I wrote and sold is more on having some good knowledge about all of these things. And then there were a couple of activities where you start to plug the numbers in and get used to how the numbers work. But this will be a math course that is just all focused on practicing those skills. And I think that would be good. I think this will intrigue him because it's all stuff you're going to use in everyday real life. And so with him not having to take anything higher than pre-calculus, I thought, this will be something that will seem pertinent. Hopefully it'll be a little challenging. We'll see. But I bought the whole kit. So I've got the teacher book. There is an assessment booklet along with the assessment answer key. And then there is the teacher guide. So I'm going to be checking all of this out and looking at it as I start prepping things this summer. And that is what he is going to do for math this year. Now, for history, because we are big fans of Guest Hollow, and we've been working our way through their different history curriculums. He has so far done a geography and cultures, he has done world history, and then he has done U.S. history year one. That's what he did this year from Guest Hollow. He did American history year one, which starts with like the discovery of America, and it gets us up to right about the 1900s. And so this year he will be doing American history year two. Now this will take us from that turn of the century all the way up to modern times. So there will be a lot of really interesting topics to dive into. We'll be, looking at world wars. We'll be looking at Depression era. We'll be looking at the Civil Rights Movement. We'll be looking at the Vietnam War. As things are changing, as we're moving into the 80s and 90s, and even things that are happening currently. So I think this will be really interesting for him because, these are a lot of the different things that he's been hearing about and seeing, in books and movies and things like that. So we'll get a chance to dive into it. Now, Guest Hollow courses are a little bit different. So this course does not have like a physical textbook or an online textbook. What it does have is what they call a spine book. And it's the same book that we actually used for American History Year One. We're just going to continue reading through the book, and that's this one. It's the Patriots History. And then there are all of these wonderful recommended books. So when you purchase the curriculum, you get a schedule with like a guide of everything that you should try to gather for the course. And there's a list of books and they rank them. Now, I'm a book hoarder. I love books. So I have already started looking for deals and used versions of these books and things like that. And so those will be arriving probably over the next couple of weeks. And once I have a good majority of them, I'll probably do a video where I'll deep dive and talk to you more about this course and what we expect to learn and the things that we're going to do with it. But we're really excited because it's just a different way of learning about history. Instead of just reading a textbook and taking tests. Instead, what he's doing is he's reading from all of these different sources. He is watching videos. He is doing hands-on activities. I think it'd be really great for us to do some really cool field trips related to the topics he's going to be covering. So I think it will be wonderful. I mean, we went to DC with the kids back when they were like in middle school, but it would be kind of cool to revisit now that, he's getting into that U.S. history again, and maybe consider doing a stop over to the East Coast and like check out some of the places that are talked about in the history books. So maybe that's something that we will plan for the fall. So he'll be doing that. It does also come with a downloadable workbook. So we did the workbook for the year one history. He'll do that for the year two. And then something that I did do a little differently is I did go ahead and I wrote some very basic tests and quizzes to go along with this. So this is not something that was included with the curriculum, but it was one of those side projects that I've been working on throughout this past year. I've written a series of tests and quizzes that went along with the current history program that we're doing, along with the one that we're using next year, and then some of the other things that we've used in the past. More or less so that way I can, just kind of do a knowledge check with him and see what he's catching. We also have been big fans of narration journals where I have the kids write about what they're learning and what they're liking, and things that are sticking with them. But I wanted to add in this other component here. And I thought, that might be something that other people might find useful, especially if you have a state where you need to like provide examples of your students' work and things like that. So at some point, I'll get those released on my shop page. We'll get there. But that's what we're going to be doing with our history. Then when it comes to science, we're actually not going to do a science curriculum this year. I know, crazy, right? Because I love science. It's my favorite subject to teach and stuff. But he's taken biology, chemistry, and physics. He took a food science course, and we kind of talked about, if there was something that he would want to study. We looked at a lot of different options. There are astronomy courses out there, marine biology courses. There's all kinds of stuff. Now, he did do an electronics course, which I think is more like a tech course than, a science course, but he did that as an extra this past year. But given that he's going to be doing these courses designed to help him get into the apprenticeship he wants to do, I was like, you know what, if we don't need to do it, why don't we hold off? And if at some point you would like to study something in more detail, we can look at that. But as of right now, we're going to hold off and not do a science course. What we are going to do, though, is the government, econ, and personal finance course, also from Guest Hollow. And so again, when you think about it, like the Guest Hollow courses do include a lot of reading and a lot of different components. And I thought by the time we're done with history reading and government econ reading and then literature reading, maybe we'll be okay without a science. So the government econ personal finance course, I have done a review video on this. I have talked about how much we loved it. My daughter took it her junior year. Hands down, like my favorite course I had her teach. I loved it because she learned so much, and I was trying to read ahead and pay attention to all stuff, and I learned a whole bunch that I didn't know about how our government operated and even about how our economy operated. Like it was really awesome. And there were books that, she just ate up, she just loved. And so I'm really looking forward to revisiting this curriculum again with my son. I think it's so important to cover these topics. And again, like I did with the history course, I went ahead and I wrote quizzes, especially quizzes that went along with the vocabulary and some simple tests, because this course does have an online textbook that goes with the government portion. Beautifully done textbook. Made it really easy for me to be able to create some tests to go along with that. And then he'll go through, he'll do reading assignments, he'll watch videos, we'll do hands-on activities, especially for the personal finance side of things when it talks about ways that you can save money and the ways that you can do things in a little more of a budget conscious way. I think that will work out really nicely given that he's doing consumer math at the same time, because he's going to be looking at the numbers and how these things work. And I think it will just tie in very nicely with that other subject area. So we'll be doing that. And so then that brings me to kind of our last big category, which is our English 12 class. Now, if you watched Curriculum Choices last year, you'll know that my daughter didn't take an English 12 from me. She didn't take an English course that I wrote. She did composition and writing at a college class. And again, we talked about whether or not this is something that he would want to do, but I feel like for his dual enrollment and for what we want to, invest our money into for his dual enrollment, we're going to put that more towards these courses, these business courses, and these introduction to trade courses. I feel like that's going to be what's going to be best for him, and that will be enough. So what we're going to do at home, though, is going to do our pieced together English 12 course, and that's how I've always done our high school English courses. I haven't bought like a whole curriculum that's everything that all fits together all nice and neat. Instead, I have found the things that I like and that work well for my kids, and we have put them together. So we have three big components. We have literature, and we have grammar, and we have writing. That's what we incorporate into here. I'm not doing a separate vocabulary book for him this year. We have been doing the Wordly Wise vocabulary for the past couple of years. But for this last year, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the vocabulary we are finding within the novels that we are reading. And that's where we'll pull vocabulary from. But we are going to do, let me grab it. We are going to continue with the easy grammar. So my kids did Fix-It Grammar all 6 years that it had it. And then we got to the point where there was no more Fix-It Grammar, but I didn't want them to go without like any grammar review whatsoever. So last year, Ethan did easy grammar, these daily teaching lessons for grade 11. So this year, we're going to do the grade 12 ones. They're pretty straightforward. It's just like a one pager each day. You read about a concept. It's not meant to like teach you brand new concepts. This is meant to review those concepts that you've been learning all through elementary, middle school, and early high school, and then just make sure that you remember them. So he'll review them, and then there's a little bit of an activity to do on it each day. So nothing too crazy, fairly straightforward. For writing, we are going to finish up our advanced U.S. history-based writing lessons from IEW. So I'll hold it up here because it's somewhere in one of these drawers that he's working on. His junior year, we did kind of like an essay intensive course for almost the first half of the year. We spent a lot of time revisiting how to write quality essays. And so we just got into these U.S. history-based writing lessons in the spring, and we got nowhere near done. There's still lots to still do because that's meant to spread out over a whole year. So we will pick up where we left off this fall, and I'll have him continue through till he finishes that book. I probably will not get another writing curriculum after we finish this one. We will go ahead and just take our time, get through it, and then I'll have him write some papers for me related to some of the different books that we are going to be reading. And so for literature then, for the lit component, again, we are not buying a literature curriculum. We have kind of gone through several different ones. Like for many years, he did the BJU literature, and not that there was anything wrong with it. It just didn't work really well for him, and it wasn't capturing his attention. So this past year, I decided, well, we're just going to read whole novels and we're just going to study them. And that was much better. That was so much better. There's something to be said about just sitting down and reading whole books and really diving into them, annotating the pages, making notes about them, and pulling out key themes. And there are so many great resources available to go along with lots of different books. I mean, he read a huge book list this year, and for all of them, I was able to find on Teacher Pay Teachers different novel guides that asked great comprehension questions, talked about some of the main kind of like themes of literature or concepts in literature that you'd find within there. We had great examples of types of projects he could do, whether those were quizzes, tests, writing assignments, presentations, and things like that. And so that is what we're going to do again this year. However, last year we were focused on novels that went with our history curriculum, which was early American history. So it was a lot of things on either topics in early American history or that were written in that time period. Now we're getting into modern American history, and so we will be reading books that are more related to that. Now, our list of books might seem a little bit ambitious, but we will take it like we did this year, where we will start at the beginning and we will work our way through these books and we will see how far we get. And if we don't get to all of them, that's fine. We'll just see where we get to. So some of them we've read before, like we've read Fahrenheit 451, but I'd like him to revisit that because I think that's a great book and it brings in a lot of interesting discussion. Since he'll be talking about the World Wars, A Farewell to Arms is a fantastic book. We're going to read The Outsiders. That one I think he will really like, and that one's set, a little more of a modern time. The Grapes of Wrath, I know that this one will probably not be his favorite, but it is a classic and it covers a time period in history around kind of like the Depression era. I think he should read that one. We are going to do The Great Gatsby. And my daughter hated The Great Gatsby. And I said this way back when she read it. I was like, you either love The Great Gatsby or you hate The Great Gatsby. I don't know which he will be. He might really like the character and the story. So it'll be interesting to get a comparison on there and see what he thinks. So we have those books on there, and then To Kill a Mockingbird, because I think that's just a wonderful classic as well to read, and will fit into that time period as we're kind of talking about middle of the 20th century. So that is our book list, and I have not yet gotten all of the literature studies. I just chose the books that we're going to be doing, and I will be looking for some good literature studies. And again, I'll share those as I find them and talk about what I think about those. So let's see. So far, we have covered history and math and our government econ course and our literature. And so there are a couple of electives that we will do. We always include Bible study, daily Bible study in for him. Now, I will be ordering a couple of different Bible studies from Daily Grace Co. That is kind of our go-to for Bible studies. My kids have really enjoyed them. We use them in a group setting for many years. We read and we answered the questions all together. And then this past year, my kids each worked through books individually. We have not yet picked out the ones that we want to do for next year. We will probably pick out at least 2, if not 3. Plus, we will do the Advent book come Christmas season, and then we'll do a Lenten devotion book around that time of year as well. So when I have those picked out, I will share those with you, but we will include those for Bible study. And then I did have my mental health course slated for him to do this year too. So I wrote a half semester course that is focused on different mental health topics, how to deal with stress, anxiety, depression, how to recognize the signs of it, different approaches to treatment, tips on how to help with your own mental health, and recognizing just some different things, as well as some chapters that were more focused on like more severe mental health disorders and whatnot, and even a little bit on addiction, because I think that these are things that having a basic knowledge of are important, and I think it's important for people to be able to recognize when they are experiencing anxiety, experiencing stress, experiencing depression, and know what kind of options are out there to help them. So he will do that course. I don't know if we will start that first thing in the fall or if we will start that more mid-year. I would like to get him started on his dual enrollment courses and have a couple of weeks in those to see how he feels with the course load, because I don't want to overwhelm him with just too much all at once. So we will do that at some point, and it'll be 18 weeks long. So if we start it, even like mid-fall and he gets done mid-spring, that's fine too. And that is all of our curriculum choices for my son's senior year. It feels so weird to not have a ton of stuff coming in, but we had a lot of things already on hand and a lot of things that are digital downloads this year. So there's just not a lot that we had to purchase, which is also kind of nice, right? Save a little money this year. But it is bittersweet because this is my baby who is going to be a senior. And it feels weird to be at the tail end of this homeschool journey. But it'll be fun because, again, his senior year and his future plans are very different from what his sisters were. So it will be it'll be a cool learning curve. It'll be neat to kind of see how we have to do things differently and how we have to navigate things differently for him. But if you have any questions for me, drop them down below in a comment. If you want to know what we have used in past years, I have a whole curriculum choice playlist where you can see all of the different things we have done throughout high school. I also have curriculum reviews on there telling you our honest thoughts on the different things we have used, because I don't mince words. If I love something, I'm going to tell you. And if something is not working for us, I'm going to try to be as detailed as I can in telling you why it didn't work for us. That way, you can see how this stuff all played out in real life and what was great and what was not great, and can hopefully make some informed choices when you are purchasing curriculum for your own homeschool. Thanks so much, as always, for joining me for today's video, everybody. I will see you in the next one. And until then, happy homeschooling.